My beautiful Ashley, we just decided, I told her, I said, I'm so sorry. I think I'm 1 minute late hopping on. And she said, it's 11:01, which is perfect. And the eclipse literally is starting right now as we record. So it was meant to
Yes.
be. We are eclipsing. Ashley, welcome to AG University. We are so happy and honored to have you here today.
I'm so honored to be in your space. Thank you so much for having me today, Anna Grace. It just feels so magical to be here, and I'm so grateful to meet everyone who is listening, a bunch of new friends. Thank you so much for having me, and on such a magical day as well, like as if we're talking while it's eclipsing. It's just so incredible, divine. Thank you.
Yes, I know. And it is so beautiful. I actually went on Ashley's show yesterday, which I'll link everything in the show notes, but we both had a super booked calendar. She thought she was going to be doing readings. I thought I was going to be on a work trip. And then all of a sudden, we just both realized that this space magically appeared and we connected and we were like, wow, this is why the work trip didn't work out for me and one of her readings didn't book. And it was because we were guided to this space. And Ashley has been a teacher for me for years now. So it's been such a full circle moment to connect in this way. She is an Akashic Records reader. I had the most beautiful birthday reading with her recently that was so beautiful and profound. And ever since then, we have had this soul connection since you opened my records. It's been so magical. She even said, she's like, I feel like I know you. I'm like, we've been energetically entangled for a while, I think. But so it's really cool to have you teach my students today because you are truly a wizard. You're so magical. And you are someone that I really look to in the realms of quantum manifestation. And I haven't seen anybody connect with these sort of lessons and terms and quantum manifestation in the way that you have. And so I would love for you to just kind of tell everybody, what is quantum manifestation? How did you get on this journey? Like, just take us everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay. Well, we have to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
With quantum manifestation, first of all, just thank you for allowing me this space to speak on this because it's true. I don't see this being discussed anywhere. And it was June 2022, the day that my book was released. So I started writing a book back in 2019. And book writing takes some time. Like it is back and forth with editors and so many drafts. And right before I submitted the final version, I was just like, okay, I have to rewrite the whole thing. So it was a lot of work that went into this book. And the day that it was released, I go into my Akashic Records and they're like, and now you will teach quantum manifestation. And I'm like, can I sit for a moment and just like be
Nope.
within this moment of completing this huge project that also overturned my life entirely? This writing this book was such a pivotal moment. Um, and I felt resistance within because I was like, really? Quantum manifestation, guys? Like, are you serious? Everyone's teaching manifestation. Can we get a little more creative, a little bit more unique? I felt like ego resistance around using the word manifestation. And they're like, you'll see, you'll see, you'll see. So I had no idea the journey that I was about to go on from that point. I will back up to 2019. It was the winter time of 2019. And there was this calling inside of me to start coming home. I'm from a place that is very, very, very cold. I don't live there anymore. But where I used to live, it is like minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, not just Celsius. I'm from Canada, but Fahrenheit for about 6 months of the year. It's so cold. It's so dark. But it's also magical. I grew up seeing northern lights almost every day.
Mm.
And that's something that I didn't see as so special. Like I saw it as beautiful, but I didn't acknowledge how special it was. And for so long, I had within me that I had to move away. I was constantly going to California to try and build my business. And it worked. Like I was doing so many work events and podcasts and here and there. And I was convinced like I have to go to LA to be known, to be someone. I have to go to LA. And then suddenly I was feeling this calling within of come home, come home, come home, come home. And so I had this astrocartography reading, which
Mm.
is your like astrology lines around the world. And I had asked a question because I had this dream prior to the reading where I was up in the Arctic Circle. It was super dark. And I remember I was hosting a retreat and I had this like group of women there and we were looking at shadow work. And the reason we were looking at shadows is because it was really dark outside, but the environment was very like just luxurious. Like everything was there for you to be able to comfortably dive deep. Like just so beautiful, such good food, comfortable space, just beautiful lighting, jacuzzis, like everything you need to feel like I can unwind. But here I am in total darkness and I can't turn away from myself. So I had this dream and then I went to this reading and I was like, what is this dream? Like I woke up and it felt so real. It's so significant. What is this dream? And the reader looks at my chart and she's like, well, you have the most significant lines through this place called Kuopio, Finland. There's your Jupiter line, your Venus line, your it's Jupiter, Venus, and I can't remember the third at this point. Anyway, three very important, and the moon line. The moon line
Mm.
all go right
Mhm.
through this place, Kuopio, Finland, which is just south of the Arctic Circle. So I go on this experience of like, okay, I'm planning this retreat. I talk to all these retreat companies around Europe and everyone's like, we're not doing this for you. Like no one's going to pay to go up in the middle of winter into the darkness. What are you talking about? We're not. Let's go to Bali. Let's go somewhere warm and comfortable. And I was like, well, yeah, but this was the vision. Like I'm not picking this. This was the vision. Anyway, then the pandemic happens. So I'm like, this isn't going to happen. And what happens next? The pandemic 2020 and then 2021. Oh my, I could go in a million directions with this, but I was guided to move to this house outside of the city that I was living in, up north in the city or north of the city. I had continued to have this dream of the midnight sun. I didn't know what that was. I watched a YouTube video, learned that it's the sun never sets up in the north. And I felt this calling, like something's calling me, something's calling me. The video I saw was Norway. Suddenly I see this beautiful house for sale on this acreage, just my dream house. And there are Norwegian trees on the property that have been taken from Norway and planted there 100 years ago. And I was just like, there's something calling me here. The house had been on the market for 8 years. So many people had put bids on it and they kept turning it down for 8 years. So I'm like, that's my house. I was married to someone else at the time, but I'm like, we're buying that house. And we bought the house and we moved there and everything changed. Everything changed. The reason this story is going to be all over the place is because quantum manifestation retraces footsteps of past lives and allows you to smooth energy kinks of where you have had traumas or where things haven't worked out in the highest alignment. So the circle comes back so you can smooth that energy kink. So we moved to this house and I just feel magic on this land. Like magic. Like I'm just like, I never need to go anywhere else again in my whole life. I'm going outside. This was in 2020. I go outside and I'm just like, I can hear the trees. I started speaking light language to the deer. There's eagles everywhere. Northern lights are everywhere. This house itself is so beautiful. I'm like, I am in a paradise. And there was something awakening inside of me, like really awakening. And this is 3 years after I find the Akashic Records. I had psychic gifts as a child. Like something new was waking up in me. And I'm like, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I've been running away for so long and I've been guided to this place to like really settle into winter, to settle into where I'm from. I'm coming home. And so winter comes and I buy this camera and I go outside every night at like 4 a.m. to shoot photos of the stars and to be under the northern lights. And One time I was sitting beside this wolf, like it was so dark and I didn't notice, but there's this wolf sitting beside me while I'm taking photos, like maybe 2 arm lengths away. It's just sitting there, like all
Oh
these
my
magical
gosh.
things are happening. And then one day I just feel this soul with me. I'm like, there's a person with me, but I can't see anyone. I'm all by myself. Who is this person? There's this soul with me. And it took time to not have this story be 5 hours long. It took time, but eventually I was guided to this Instagram account and I look at the art and I'm like, that's the soul I've been feeling this whole time. And it's now my husband. So I
Wow.
sent him a message and we start
Chills.
talking to each other. And I'm like, where do you live? And he's like, I live in Kuopio, Finland, which is the place on the map where all my lines meet. And I'm like, you live in Kuopio, Finland? I want to host a retreat in Kuopio, Finland. Like, this is just incredible. So we start talking every single day. By this point, I'm already going through a divorce. We start talking every day. I plan the retreat. We go to Finland. We have this retreat exactly as I saw it, exactly the way that it was in my dream. I meet this man, and my journey of quantum manifestation begins. I was told way before I met him that you had a life together in 1221 in this place in Norway. You're coming back together to be together to continue a mission that you had years ago. Trust the path. Everything is going to be okay. And so our story of coming together is incredibly magical, but we come together, we skip dating, we get engaged. Within 2 months of getting engaged, we're married. He comes to Canada from Finland. I sold my house under guidance. I got rid of all my things. He got rid of all his things. And we were guided to go on this experience where we thought we were going to Hawaii. But we get married. A couple of weeks later, I get pregnant. We find ourselves in California. Like we're all of the messages, the guidance, the in quantum manifestation, there's codes of destiny, the numbers, they're everywhere. It's just all of this guidance is pointing us, pointing us, pointing us through these experiences. And we're going from Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb, wondering what's the path? Like where are we? Where are we going? We wind up back here in Canada in this home that I had seen in the Akashic Records in 2021 when I knew that I was leaving this magical home that I had come upon. That was the opening to guiding me to myself, to releasing all that I knew, releasing all comforts, to surrender truly to the grace that is always guiding us, always protecting us, surrendering everything I knew that I could trust to be held by something higher and to be seen that we are always, 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 always okay, that we live our lives in such control, in such planning, in such just this linear, logical way of being that's so through the mind. And this experience of quantum manifestation has been nothing but magic, but straight from the heart and fully trusting everything. And so now through this whole journey, we were guided here to this house that we live in now on this fjord that is identical to a fjord I saw in Norway. We are living this life that opened in 1221. And what I have learned from quantum manifestation is that we retrace our footsteps of past life experiences. So our entire experience in this life, everything we experience is seen through what we can call energetic memory. Everything, literally, this conversation we're having is a connection. We felt it. We feel this in our hearts. We feel it. We are constantly in these cycles, in these experiences through energetic memory, through past lives, retracing footsteps that we have done in the past. But in this life, the fears that come up and the experiences that come up that our mind immediately tries to fix, or our mind tries to go into, to shift, to control, to do things, is just inviting us to drop down into our heart and to surrender into love and to surrender into guidance. Because if we can imagine our body as like the planet Saturn and all of our past life experiences as the rings orbiting, how I have seen quantum manifestation is anytime there's a trauma or anytime there's an amount of control where the mind is trying to control something to keep ourselves safe, to protect ourselves, to whatever the case is. And this is the human experience, like this is the full experience, but it creates this little energetic kink in the
Mm.
field, this little kink. And so if you imagine the Saturn rings, they're smooth. And so we must retrace all of these experiences to do it differently, to surrender into love. Some may call these experiences tests, but the universe never tests us ever. We're never tested. It feels like a test, but really we're just being guided to drop from our mind of control, our mind of planning, projecting, figuring things out, doing everything through logic, through mind. And we're being invited to drop into real magic, which is the heart, which is letting go, which is surrender, which is this gigantic exhale, should we allow ourselves to get there. And then it smooths that energy kink. And so when you're moving through manifestation in this way, you are not just looking at this lifetime. We retraced our footsteps through this journey. Like we lived in 16 places in 4.5 months. We got rid of everything we knew. We surrendered so deeply. We went through so many traumatic experiences, and yet there was never a real threat ever. We noticed this. I've noticed that the way that we hold fear in this life, there's never truly a real threat. There's just an invitation to do it differently and to smooth that energy kink, to surrender. As we smooth these kinks, which are multidimensional, we're not just smoothing energy from this life. We're not just looking at inner child work. We're not just looking at wounds from this life. Like everything that's manifested in this life is a result of our past lives. And so we're literally healing and smoothing and clearing over lifetimes, which then allows our soul's frequency to align to the highest frequency for us. And the peace and love and surrender, the presence that is within, is manifested externally, because everything that we experience comes from within. The fears, the experiences, the trauma, the pain, everything is coming from inside. Energetic memory inviting us to do something different, to smooth the energy kinks so that our external world can reflect our internal world, which is presence, love, joy, beauty. And so we're at the tail end of our quantum manifestation experience. We've retraced so many past life experiences. People who come to me to learn this will not have as extreme of an experience as I had. We had to go through this so that we could touch everything and teach this from a place of unshakable knowing that this is the way it works when you are ready to open to a bigger scale, a deeper understanding, truly the journey of person in the mind to presence in the heart, which is a very simple way of living. Really, it's beautiful. It's simple. It's just everything in life becomes more wonderful. Like it's just there's peace everywhere. There's beauty everywhere. There's love everywhere, and the miracles that open are just unbelievable. We're at the tail end of this experience, and I can say with absolute certainty that everything we're afraid of in life is not real. I watched this experience with my daughter yesterday. She had this past life memory come up through an app on her iPad that she was playing this game. All of a sudden, it brought up some fear within her. And I sat with her and watched her. And I'm just like, this is just, it's like the clouds passing over the sky, like this storm that's just moving through. And I said to her, like, my daughter's name is Hanu. I'm like, it's like this water bottle. The fear fills up. You must drain it all out. Like, feel everything, allow it to drain out so that you can smooth that experience with love. Because you are love. We all are love. We're this pure awareness. You know this. You have felt this. You have seen this. And when we come back to that energy within us, that is us, that true, real us, all of that craziness in the mind of doubt, limiting beliefs, fear, projection, control, all of that just fades away because it was never real to begin with. And our life is a walking prayer of continuous miracles and beauty and just, oh my, like I'm teaching this because I wish everyone could live this way, and they can. It's destiny, but I know that was so much in
No,
one moment, but
it was so beautiful, and you were like, "I don't want this story to last 5 hours long," and I'm like, "No, tell me everything." I
I
love
could.
I'm like, "I have nowhere to be. Tell me everything," because it's so especially what you said at the end. I feel Austin, my fiancé, we just had this conversation the other day, how he really has come into his own spiritual path. Like we've kind of been at different places, but he's very simple and profound. Like he just kind of naturally, like he doesn't read a lot about spirituality. He doesn't have all the vocabulary, but he'll just have these really intuitive hits. And he was like, I really do feel that fear and all of this stuff, this anxiety, he's like, it's all a total illusion.
Yeah,
And I saw a video on TikTok. I follow another woman who's an intuitive, and she has a little girl who I think is 7, and she's super intuitive, and she says the same thing. She said, "Mom, fear is just made up. It's all made up. It's not even
yeah,
real. We can't even actually almost all of it will never come to, like you said, there
yeah,
is no threat, but our mind can get us in these places where we are so upside down, we
yeah,
feel so heightened. And I think that's so beautiful that you're teaching from this place of being like, it is all an illusion. There is nothing to truly fear
yeah,
because we really are so guided.
yeah,
And I also would love your take on, because you and I are very aligned on the belief of this life script, the Akashic Records. I know we've both been
yes,
reading and channeling in the Akashic Records for years, and just seeing everything. I feel like the gravity of that message really has hit me. Like I've been channeling it and kind of saying it and seeing it here and there. But this past summer was the first time that I let go truly. And
yeah,
I turned 31, and I was like, my fingers were pried open. I was like, I do not know what the steps are. I don't know how any of this is going to turn out. But it was almost like I was like, I don't care. I don't care,
mhm,
but not in a negative way if I don't care. Of course I want to live a beautiful life, but I was like, I just know it. I just trust. I don't
yeah,
even need to know. I don't even need answers. And so I know you and I are on this page of seeing the Akasha Records is like, I've always seen it as this beautiful book that is written, and we're just on a certain page in the book.
yeah,
We're on page 42 and someone else might be on a different page, but it's all there.
yeah,
And so I'd love your opinion on, quantum manifestation, but also playing in with like our story is written. Like,
yeah,
do we have to exert effort in terms of quantum manifestation, or do we just sit back and exist?
yeah. We sit back and exist. We sit back and just receive our guidance because it is whatever word you want to use.
Mhm.
Source, God, energy, intelligence, universe, like whatever word you want to use is working through you as you. Nothing's actually being done in the mind because even that is part of the game. It's part of the illusion, the game of life, of being in the experience of dropping from the mind to the heart. So I had the most profound awakening where I was able to see it this past December. And I started teaching the Akashic Records back in 2018. There have been, I think it's the 5th version now that's out. That's the final version. That's like, it's the completed training. But I had to redo it because the previous 4 said that the soul is infinite and that the Akashic records are infinite. And that was the biggest misconception, misunderstanding that I had. But
Mm.
also, you cannot see this until you reach a certain level of consciousness because we so often just identify with our soul. I am a soul and my soul is eternal. This is not right. It's there's so much more than that. So I was sitting with my husband on Christmas night and we were just watching this video on YouTube of this podcast that I was guided to watch. The podcast is called Know Thyself. I had never heard of it before, but I was guided to this one episode with this teacher named Muji, and I was like, watch this. And I had been trying to watch it for days and it wasn't working out. And I tried to listen in the car when I was driving one day and I was just like, I can feel that I need to be fully present for this. Like, I can't just have this on in the background. I need to be present, no children. I have two of them, no children, like just present, fully watching it. And that worked out on Christmas night. So we're watching this, and Muji guides this experience. It's not even a meditation, it's just an experience of not feeding your mind, of not thinking,
Mm.
and just being still and quiet. And he's asking these questions of like, okay, once you have cleared all your thoughts and you're just present, what is left? Like, I think one of the questions was, does it have a shape? Does it have a beginning and an end? And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm just still in this presence. And then the question was, does it have a color? And I was like, well, yeah, it's white. I'm in the white room. Like, I'm always in the white room. When I need to go somewhere to see, I'm in the white room. And the answer was no, no color. And I was like, oh, okay, let's drop that color. And in that moment, I dissolved, as in there was no person here. And I was in this place of seeing where it was infinite, the absolute, in this place of seeing, of absolute stillness. And it was like there was so much space between my soul and what was seeing. And I was seeing all the lifetimes that this soul, my soul, has experienced, and all the atrocities and all the horrible things that my soul has experienced with the soul of my husband and my children. And I'm just watching this. And the place where I'm watching it from is total neutrality, but also in the deepest love, like
Mm.
beyond love, not even human love, this place of just such love. And then I remember from the right side, it was like there was a voice. And this voice was like, do you see? Do you see that you are the one watching everything happen? This is all really just a game of life. That the whole process is this game of life of going from being so strongly identified through the mind and thinking, this is me, like there's nothing else, this is me, to being identified as the soul, to seeing that the whole thing is being seen from a greater perspective, from the absolute. This experience lasted maybe 10 seconds and it turned my entire life upside down because I opened my eyes and I looked to Yuso and I said, I just had the strongest experience, and I just started crying. And I'm like, the energy that is inside of me is also inside of you, is also inside of everyone and everything. It is this one energy, and it is a total illusion that we are separate. And then the very next day, we went for a drive. We live on the most beautiful highway in Canada. It's the most scenic highway. It's so loud because everyone comes here to drive it. It's called the Sea to Sky Highway, and it's just beautiful. And as we drive down this highway, there are these massive mountains of rainforest. And then to the left is the ocean and just millions of trees. And every time we drive it, I'm just looking up at the mountains and I'm like, I can't believe I live here. Like, this is just incredible. And this time I'm looking up at the mountains. This was December 26th. And once again, within a second, it was just a second, I saw the process of my soul being created from this absolute place that I had witnessed from. So, like, my soul being born, the entire experience of the soul going from just consciousness to entering various bodies to finally entering a body of a human that could understand a mind, to transcend a mind, because it's a huge moment when the soul is able to become a human. Like, that's, you have to evolve in consciousness so much to the point where you can become a human. So I'm watching within a second the soul being born, going through this entire experience, and then the soul remembering where it comes from and dissolving back into the absolute. And this happened in 1 second, and once again I just started crying, and I was just like, I understand now. I understand that the whole thing is written, that the Akashic Records are written, that there is a beginning and an end, that it is finite information, that the soul is finite, that the entire path is quantum manifestation, because the whole path is clearing these energy kinks that have happened and coming to this place where it's all smooth, where we're in presence, in peace. We can just sit back and let it all happen through us because we're not actually doing anything because the whole thing's written. We can't change things, but we have to feel and experience everything. We can't bypass these challenging moments. We can't bypass the fear. We can't bypass the pain, the trauma. We feel it all so that we can transcend it. Because without these moments of darkness and challenge, we don't know love. We have to remember where we come from, which is love. And we can't remember that if we don't experience the contrast. We have to taste suffering in this life to remember love and then to see it from a wider perspective. But when I saw that, that was the one reel that I watched. I don't know if it was on your Instagram or your podcast Instagram, but I saw you say the Akashic Records are written. Everything's predetermined. And I closed and I was like, yep, we're aligned. We can do this collaboration because that's something that deeply triggers people. They're like, no, I have free choice. I can change things. I can change timelines. I can do this. I can do that. And it's like, well, yes and no, because even you making choices and changing timelines and doing all that, that's all written too. Like we've all watched movies where we're on the edge of our seat and then there's a plot twist and it's like, what? How did that happen? And then you're like, well, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And then another plot twist. And it's like, that's your life. Like it's such an intelligent, beautiful script written by you for you to keep you open to miracles. We can't know everything, but we also can't check out entirely where it's like, I'm not making a decision. Like, yeah, of course I chose to wear red today. Of course I chose to have water here so that I can drink water. Of course I chose to hold this crystal while we're talking, but all of that was written. This was all written. So we just move through life knowing that it's all okay because it's all taken care of. And that's the whole experience of quantum manifestation, is when you can actually release what your mind wants for you, because your mind can only see what it knows. When you manifest from the mind, you can only see what you know because you're seeing through energetic memory of this life and past lives. It's like, I want that because I know that. I want that because I see that. That person has that. I want that. I've had this happen. I want that. I see that. But when you're open to manifesting in the quantum, you're like, I want what I can't see. Give me something better for me than I can ever imagine. Open me to miracles beyond my wildest dreams. My husband, who I'm married to, is beyond my wildest dreams. I could have never myself planned a man like that, like this, because I didn't know someone this brilliant and wonderful and perfect for me even existed. Like the way I would have planned a relationship and planned a life would look so different. It's what I had before, and it wasn't aligned for me. It wasn't a match. So as you say, can we just be open to what is really in our highest alignment, miraculous, beyond our wildest dreams? Like, show me something so much greater than I could ever imagine. The other day I asked God, I was lying in bed and it was nighttime. My son was awake. It was 4 a.m. My husband was upstairs singing to him. I was lying there being like, I'm so tired and I feel a little stressed right now. And I was just like, God, if you're real, like I know you are because I've had these experiences, but if all this quantum manifestation that you have shown me is real, and if everything I've seen is real, show me something real right now. We had an earthquake and my house shook in that moment.
Oh my gosh.
It shook. And I
That's it.
was
I'm
like,
gonna shake your house, girl. You're not gonna miss this one.
and I started crying and I was like, okay, I'll keep going on this. Okay, I get it. Okay, stop shaking my house. I live on a mountain on stilts. Like,
Don't shake me off this mountain. I hear you.
that's it though. It's all written. It's all written. We can give a huge exhale, like everyone listening, everyone just Let it go. Let
Yeah.
it go. You can
It
take
just
your hands off the wheel.
it feels so freeing because
Yeah.
I really do. I feel so guided, and I've always told people that, like, "You were guided, you were guided." I've always channeled that, like, "You're
Mhm.
never alone. Even when you feel alone, you're not." And that was how I was this summer. Like, I realized, oh my gosh, I have gotten to the point where I've made myself ill over stressing and working and pushing
Mhm.
and, wanting to really too just carry out my mission, wanting to get it right this time. You have
Yeah.
this like I knew my heart was in such a good place. Like I love people and I
Yeah.
want to do events and I want to meet them and I want to see them and I want to hug them and I want to help them. And, but it really gave me this moment where I was like, Anna Grace, it's gonna happen. I've
Yeah.
seen it. It's gonna happen in the most beautiful, perfect time. And I deeply relate to your story. I know they're different on vast scales, but in the same of my journey of getting to Florida was so crazy and chaotic. It was pure chaos. Like the rug was literally pulled underneath of me, of Austin. I went from living one life one day to like living a single girl in Nashville, going out partying, being in entertainment, to like living a simple, quiet life on the beach, being a full time parent, and I'll be married in 2 weeks. Like, and it happened so fast. It was like so crazy. I look back and I'm like, oh, this is my family. I have a family now that I never even knew I was missing you guys. And one of my friends came and she was like, "You guys have been a family before." My stepson's 13, but she's like, "Oh no, you have done this so many times before." And up until I was 30, I was like living a totally different timeline. It's just crazy how, like you said, these plot twists will come, but it was always planned. And and that has been so freeing for me. I know some people are like, well, what about free will? And what I always see is like the free will piece is always around how you feel, right? We
Mhm.
have free will on how we can feel in any circumstance. That's always how I see. And that feels empowering to me that we can choose, how we want to feel in these certain moments. And that
Mhm.
to me, it just could not have brought me the amount of peace that I'm living in. I don't remember the last time I felt anxiety. Like I don't
Yeah.
even know what that, like I have just
Yeah.
felt so calm, so peaceful, and I've always been a kind of a slower moving creature by nature when I was young. And this is
Mhm.
the first time in my life that I've found my way back to that. Like I'm like, oh, I remember being like this naturally. Like that's how my soul has wanted to be. It just took me
Yeah.
years of fighting with it, trying to push. And my body and my soul and my mind, everything's like, stop it. Take your hands off. Pry the
Yeah.
fingers off the wheel. We're going somewhere. It's okay. And it's just, yeah, I everything you said is just so beautiful. And I think that even, I said when you did the reading for me, somehow we crossed energy because I really felt like we were channeling some of the same stuff, but using it to teach in completely different realms, which is even cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool and so many things to say, but I remember seeing in your records, your events, like it's written. There's nothing
Hmm.
you have to do. It's going to happen. And I remember seeing them massive, like massive, like when I saw it, it was like Coachella. Like there were just so many people in this stage. And I'm like, okay, I knew nothing about you. I'm like, is she a celebrity? Like I don't know anything about
Oh
but
my gosh.
the key here, as you said, you're like, I just want to help people. I just want to hug them and hold them and help them. And that's how I felt before as well. Like Ashley wants to help them. But that's also through the mind and it's through
Mm,
love and it's through great intention. But when you don't plan that and you don't personally hold that and you come down to the heart, you can actually hold so much more and do so much more because that personal identity effort, which is so heavy, is not there. And we can just hold space for so many more people and hold so many more people because it is being done through the place of love, which is infinite, instead of the place of the mind, which is like, how can I control everything? I'm responsible for everything. So this is
mhm.
even something we can practice as I said, I'm a mother, and probably many are listening. It's like, how do I move through my day with your stepmother? How can I move through my day with my kids and all the things I have to do and this and that and this and that? It's like when you drop into that heart space, it's like you're not even doing anything. It's like it's moving through you. Suddenly you're managing so many things that you didn't realize you could even manage. Like you can hold so much more than you thought you could hold because there isn't that mental control to it. It's coming from a place of ease. And that is what I see for you as opening and being able to hold so much more in events and still move slow and still go at a pace of slowness and still respect your energy because it's not so much mental exertion, it's just flow through you. And
Mm.
that energizes you instead of takes away your energy.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Like, and it's just so cool. I just love it. I could talk about it all day long, but I remember my whole life when I was super, like in second grade, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to be on stage. I'm going to be in front of thousands of people. I'm going to be performing. And he was totally like, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing on stage? And I was kind of like, I don't really know. Like, I think all I had saw was, I was like, I'm going to be a pop star. And it's kind of funny because in a way, though, that vision was written. There was that little version of me that saw, even though it's completely taken a totally different shape. Maybe in some ways I can still be a pop star, but it's so cool that that happens. And you told me, you said, Anna Grace, it's going to be effortless. And I really just took a deep breath and I was like, Ashley, that's all I needed to hear. I don't need to know any steps. I don't need to know anything. You said it's going to be effortless.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's all I needed to know. That was beautiful. Thank you. But I would love if you maybe have an example or a way you could just talk us through, or the audience, like you said, as moms, as busy women, whatever we're all doing, when we have these moments and you catch yourself saying, Ashley, you're in the mind, let's drop into the heart. How do you feel that shift? Or is there something you do? Do you just stop and take a deep breath? What does that look like for you?
So I experienced this a couple days ago. I went to, as I said, we live on a mountain in a rainforest. It's just so beautiful. And for many months, I had a practice of going to the forest by myself. There's this waterfall literally like 10 steps away from our home, and I can sit on these rocks and just watch this waterfall. And then all of a sudden, like 2 months went by and I hadn't gone. And I could feel that within myself. Like every time I go into nature, I have a child strapped on my back or two of them. And like, yeah, I'm grounding and I'm in nature, but I'm not actually able to just be quiet. And I just took 5 minutes. Like I didn't take that long, but I went and I sat down. And you can do this anytime, anywhere. You don't have to be in a forest or anything. Like you can be at your kitchen table. You can be in your yard. You can be in your bed. A shower is a great place for this experience. A shower. Everyone can take a shower or a bath.
Mm.
Um, but the water is what helps the flow. It just helps this flow. So I sit down and I'm just like, I'm here. Everything smells so good. I'm here. All of a sudden, this voice comes in. Okay, so you have this space now to plan what you're going to do next. You have like this long list. You have a workshop that's coming out in 2 days that you haven't finished. You have to write a newsletter. Would you like to do a podcast to promote this? And what about your Instagram content? Plus, you have to do this thing for your child and this thing and this thing and this thing. And you should really clean the house because your mom's coming in a couple of days. And I was like, excuse me, pardon me, I have this moment of quiet right now. I'm not spending this planning. This voice up here, you can sit right down. Go away. So put that to the side. We don't need to plan right now. Side. Simple. Simple. You notice that happening? Take control. The power is when we can use our mind as our tool, not having the mind use us. So I'm like, okay, go away. Like you're on pause. Inhale, exhale. I'm in the nature. This is so nice. All of a sudden on the other side, Ashley, you should probably be taking a video of this beautiful waterfall. The sun is setting. Like this is great content. Take a video. You could put your phone up and take a video of yourself meditating. That would be very inspiring. Take this video. And I was like, who are you? I sat that one down. Who's this one? No, go away. The only reason my phone is here is in case there's something happening at home, like Lumi's choking on an apple or something. Like then I have to go home. No, no videos are being taken right now. This is for me. You sit down, come back to center. Okay. Okay, it's quiet now. And just like that, I was one with the rocks. I was one with the forest. I returned to my natural state because our natural state is actually stillness. Our natural state is oneness. But that mind is going to come through, and I've done great investigation here. There's no one actually there. Like, that's not a guide. That's not a spirit guide. There's no one actually there. That's just a habit. Habits coming to the surface. When you come into that stillness, these habits are going to come to the surface of, I must use this time productively. I must be busy. I must plan. I must do this. I must do this. We are so in the habit of doing that we have forgotten how to just be. And being is just stillness. This just takes 5 minutes of truly putting to the side what has been, putting to the side what will be, noticing when the mind is coming in and trying to boss you around, and asking yourself, who is that one trying to boss me around right now? Wait a moment. Where's my power? Like, that power from within, that heart, that fire from within, that is not these voices up here telling me what to do. Make sure you don't forget the birthday party in 2 weeks. What kind of gift are you going to buy for that party? And don't forget the laundry and this and that. Like, all of that is going to effortlessly get done through you. Imagine that. Like, just taking your hands off the wheel of life, just even for a day, as an experiment. Just an experiment. Nothing's going to fall apart. The end of the world is not going to happen, but just an experiment of not trying for one day and letting yourself just be and noticing those intuitive pulls. Okay, now it is time to do this. I walked away from that forest. It was just 5 minutes, and I was in such a state of bliss, like just bliss. Talked to my neighbor about her garden, got home, ate dinner, put my son to bed. All the work still got done. There was no like planning of the order of how it was going to get done, because we're guided. We're guided. Okay, now you do this. And then the next step is this. And then the next step is this. And we can't actually do more than step by step by step by step. And this is how we smooth those energy kinks, because you're releasing control and you're surrendering to the present. And then when moments arise that feel truly threatening, I've seen this too. It feels like a tsunami is coming. It doesn't actually touch you. It's just that energy of, I have to run, I have to run, I have to plan, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. But if you can just sit in that stillness and feel all of those emotions, feel all of them, because all of them are coming from some past life experience, some trauma experience of actually where you did run, where you did have to protect yourself, where you did go through something very traumatic. And there are beautiful souls on this planet experiencing that in real time, real present moment right now. We have had a vast ride as a soul in this life, past lives. But if you can just practice in your day-to-day life, releasing control, and noticing when your mind is trying to boss you around, and then asking yourself, who is that? Can I use my mind as my greatest resource and my greatest tool? This is beyond being the driver of your own life, because you're witnessing yourself driving your life. It's like you're the main character in your life first, and then you're watching yourself in your life. That's where you come to that full surrender of, I can watch this whole thing happen because it's going to happen. I'm the main character here, but I'm also the director. I'm also the one witnessing it, that wrote the story. And it's just becoming aware of those moments of quiet where your mind is trying so hard to pull you away from your natural state. It's a habit. It's a habit. That's all it is.
I really, I think it was for a September reading I did for myself before I went to Italy. And I got the guidance. They're like, we want you to just sit back and watch this movie unfold like a movie. Like, pop some popcorn, prop your feet up, and just watch. And that's kind of what you're saying here. It's like, just take a day. Like, I love this challenge, and I'm gonna pull this clip for everybody too. Like, let's all just experiment. When I first started playing with my intuition, well before my gifts opened up as fully as they are now, I would have these days where, like, even if it was a Saturday or Sunday or any day, where I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to not plan anything, and I'm just going to see where I go. I'm going to see what excites me. How does moving feel when it feels good, when it's not forced? How does
Mhm.
eating a meal when I'm not rushing, or when I eat to nourish my body instead of shrink my body? Like, I just started playing with these ideas of being like, what if one day we just like paused all of those habits? Because it's like what you said, it's not, a guide coming in or anyone telling it. Most of it is just chatter that's been practiced and looped. And we're like, what if we just, I sometimes truly will imagine I just pull it out outside of my room and I close the door. And I imagine closing the door on that yappy voice that's like, make your to-do list, do this, da, da, da. And I've kind of created these little rituals of saying, I'm just going to put you right outside the house just for a minute. And we're just
Mhm.
going to play a game and literally be like, what if we just had no plan for the next few hours and we moved freely? And that was really how, like I told you before, I was never really a dancer. I was never, and a lot of the work that I do is movement and rhythm. And I had to like let go of you have to work out at this time and it has to look this way and I have to do this and I have to do that. And I was like, what if I just let my body do whatever it wanted? And
Mhm.
then I literally tripped and fell into my soul's purpose and fell in love with it. But I would have never have gotten there if I was following everything so closely.
Yeah.
And so I love what you're saying. Like, let's all just experiment, maybe just one day, and be like, you know what? I'm just not going to control anything, because our body does have these urges, like these
Mhm.
urges to create or urges to dance or sing. This morning I went on a walk and I was like, I'm not going to put my phone. I'm not going to take my phone. I'm going to put it down. And that's so hard because I'm always reaching for it. I was like, I'm just gonna go on a short walk. And I just went on a walk and no one was around and I just sang my whole way home. And normally I'd be like, oh, I'm not a great singer, I'm not this. And I was like, we can sing. We can sing and we can skip and we can do all these things, and we forget that we
Mhm.
we can, and we can make any moment so beautiful. So I really invite everybody to try this experiment that Ashley has initiated, because I think it can remind you that moments can be fun and that you can have fun with yourself doing nothing. And this life is a movie. It's a magical movie and we get to watch it and
Mhm.
direct it and create it. But I think that it's brought so much joy to my life to try these practices. So I want to invite everybody listening to try as well.
Yes, yes, and I don't make to-do lists at all, ever. What I do though is I write down the things that have to get done, but they're not in an order, because everything on that page will get done as it is meant to get done, and it's a fun way as well of noticing where you're intuitively called. It's like everything on here will be accomplished, but I'm not gonna control the order. I know the most important thing. It's like, what's the most important thing to do first? That's how you act. Everything else, it just falls into place. But it's not this thing like we've had women in our community. They're like, okay, well, this thought comes to my mind and I don't want to forget it. And I'm like, write it down and put it away. Like keep a paper, write everything down, but don't go past that. Like just write it down and drop it. Write it down and drop it. Because like you said, it's this practice loop that continues to go on and on and on in our head it pulls us away from presence. And when you're present, that's when beautiful things happen. Like you start to sing and you're like, wait, I'm not a good singer, but this feels really good. And who's the one who's telling me I'm not a good singer? Like who's the one
Right.
who's saying that this sound doesn't sound nice? This is life force energy moving through me as me. This is a miracle. This is beautiful. This
Mhm.
feels good. So I'm going to do this because I'm present and this is how I feel right now. That's life. Like that's fully saying yes to life and not being afraid of life and not missing your life, like just being fully present in your life. Very few people actually say yes to life. And this is it's so short, you know?
I
Like
know.
even when I saw the soul, the journey, I'm like, wow, that's short. Like that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years, but that's short. It's such a gift to be here, to just be present in it.
It truly is. I'm sorry, I keep having to clear my throat, but it truly is such a gift. And like you said, it's so I remind myself that all the time, that so many souls and energy and spirits and all the things want to come in and have a human experience. And it's such a gift to be in this human body. And I remind myself all the time, like, I was on a walk this morning and I was like, I chose this body because this body can carry me through these events, through holding other people. Like, I am strong. I do not need to
Mhm.
change anything. I chose this whole exterior because it would perfectly fit this mission that I'm here.
Mhm.
Like, how cool is that? And I spent so much of my life wrestling with, I wanted it to be smaller, look like hers, or this or that or that. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I incarnated in this beautiful, perfect body that knows exactly what to do. It is always helping me and healing me and carrying me
Mhm.
and just, giving us this beautiful life. And I really do. I feel like it's taken to my 30s where I'm like just so overwhelmed with gratitude. Where my 20s, I just would have chosen anything else. And it's like, wow, really interesting how a perspective shift can just completely change everything. But it is, this life is such a gift. And
Mhm.
I'm just so happy that this life brought us together, Ashley. And I'm sure
Me
we've had a past
too.
life together in some way, shape, or form. You've been a teacher for me, or vice versa, or who knows, something magical. But I'd love for you to not only, I have lots of people who are seeking Akashic Records readings. So I would love for you to tell them about where you're at with readings right now. She has just opened up some reading spaces, which I grabbed one very quickly for my birthday reading, and it was amazing. I know you have a community and you have workshops. So tell us kind of everything that's in your world.
Sure, thank you. I just started doing readings for the first time since 2021, and I never thought I would do them again. I thought I did give a reading to a friend in December of 2023, and I was like, that's the last one. Like, I felt inside, that's the last one. And then this summer, I had the calling to start doing readings again. And the readings I do now, it's true, that was the last one back then because they were so different. Now, having touched this place of absolute, of the experience that I had, the seeing from, it's been called so many things, but we can call it an enlightened experience, like having that experience of real truth. The readings I give now are from the highest point of consciousness, like Ashley dissolves entirely. And it's just so magical to give readings like this because it's really bringing the sacredness back to the Akasha. And so I've been guided to do them. I open up a few spots every month. I did a lot more in September. Right now, I think I have 2 spots left in October, but depending on when you're releasing this, I'd love to meet your community and possibly open a couple more spots.
Yeah.
I will open spots in November. I think I'll do a few in December. As I've seen, they taper off possibly in the new year, but we'll see. I'm open for however long they're guided. My readings are very simple, but very profound. I love that you said that when you were in the space, you just felt such a calming, a peace. And that's what they bring um, most of the time. I'd say 95% of the time when I say the opening message, it has answered every single question that my client has come with. Like they'll be like, okay, in the first 5 minutes, I have no more questions. And I'm like, good. So let's dig deeper. Like, let's
Yeah.
go beyond what your mind could see. Let's
Yeah.
go even deeper. And they leave saying, I've been told like that was 10 years of therapy in an hour. That was 20 years of therapy in an hour. It's just incredible. But beyond readings, we have so many workshops like our How to Read the Akashic Record training, which you took and thousands of people around the world have taken. That's available. We just released our quantum manifestation workshop, which my husband and I taught it together. I bring the mystical side of it, and he is like 10,000 years old in terms of yogic science. He just has such unbelievable wisdom. And the two of us, we always say it's like the alien and the yogi, like you get both perspectives. So it lands for someone.
Yeah.
And it just rounds out the whole experience. And so we teach quantum manifestation together. Just 2 days ago, we released our new past life workshop, which I'm really excited about. It pairs so beautifully with quantum manifestation. There's so many workshops. We have seasonal workshops, solstices, equinoxes, um, workshops on resistance, on building trust. We have one called Know Your Soul. Like there's so many. And so for those who look and they're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I have to spend like $5,000 on all these workshops, we've created a membership called Guided, where there's either a 6-month membership or a 12-month membership where you get access to all of the workshops, plus a community that really sets this experience apart, because there's a community of beautiful souls from all around the world on Telegram every day, sharing their stories, sharing their experiences. It is deep. Like, it's just so beautiful how that has been born and how they're connected in there. And then also there's another room within that group where Yuso and I answer questions. Once, twice a week, we go in there and listen to the voice messages and answer questions. So we're deeply connected to this. Like, we wanted it to feel almost like a retreat space or like an ashram online, where you come to and you have this extended stay, 6 months, 12 months. You do this beautiful spiritual work. Your gifts open, activate. You have a community to grow within, to share, to learn from each other. And then Yuso and I are also there to guide. And I teach there once a week as well, in what is called satsang, which satsang is a Sanskrit word that means coming together as a group for spiritual devotion. So I teach on Fridays. All of this is wrapped up within the membership. I also just started doing Akashic mentorship there.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing that once every 4 or 5 weeks, where we gather in circle. And I'm really like, the guidance is bringing the sacredness back to the Akasha, dissolving all of those ideas in the mind of like, am I channeling right? Am I giving the right message? Is my client happy? Oh, they're not happy. I must have done something. Oh, I
Mhm.
hope I can help. Like, it's dissolving all of that personal and bringing in this sacredness, this space of devotion and service. And this circle that we just had, um, oh, it was just so powerful. Like, the women who left, there were women and men. The men didn't share anything with me after, but the women were like, that was beyond anything I could have imagined, because it just rejuvenated my practice. Like, it's like I got a cleanse. And yeah, so all of this is within our mentorship, or our, not our mentorship, within our membership Guided. But you can go on our website, alnwithin.com. All the events are there. The workshops are there. The shop is there. Guided is there. And then, of course, there's the podcast that you're also on. In
Yes.
2 days, your episode will be on Aligned Podcast, which I'm so happy to share.
I cannot wait. And I'm going to take your past life workshop. That's the one area that I don't ever play, and I would love to play in that
Yes.
space. So I'm going to dive in. But yes, everybody, all of her work is so beautiful. And doing a reading with you, you just felt like such a pure channel. Like there was just no, I don't even know what else to say, just pure. The message was just so pure. And I've done readings with some people before where I felt maybe there was a projection coming through or something, and you were just literally light consciousness. And
Mhm.
it really validated so much of my life experience. So yeah, just everything that you put out, you are a magical, mystical fairy. And
Thank you.
Huso, he has the most beautiful voice. Just hearing his voice, it is so magnetic and calming, and you guys together are just going to do really beautiful things. So I'm so happy to introduce you to my audience, and I would love to, I'll probably send out a newsletter. We could connect and get some AGU. Our mascot is the dancing unicorns. I don't know if I told you that. So my
No.
dancing unicorns and connect with you, because I would love, to connect you in the reading space and just all of the above, because I think it's just a magical collaboration. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today.
I am so happy and so honored that you have had me in your space and opened me up to your home. Like, I really feel like I've come in your home and sat down, and it's just so comfortable and warm and colorful and bright. And yesterday in our episode for my podcast, I was moved to tears so many times, because you just have such an angelic spirit of just color and beauty and life, like life. And I'm just so grateful for this collaboration as well. So thank you, Anna Grace. Thank you, Dancing Unicorns. Thank you, AG University. Bless you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So much love to everybody, and so much love to you, Ashley. Mwah.
Thank you.
As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also, you can find me at Anna Grace Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum, in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.